The Beast Incarnate just ended Jacob Fatu's return before it even started, and what we witnessed was absolute carnage. What is going on, Suplex Rumble family? Welcome back to the place where we break down the most shocking, jaw-dropping, and unbelievable moments in professional wrestling. If this is your first time here, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button right now because you're about to witness one of the most insane breakdowns of the year. Tonight, we're talking about something nobody saw coming. Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf himself, made his highly anticipated return to WWE SmackDown in 2026, and it should have been his moment. It should have been his night to shine. But then Brock Lesnar happened. The Beast Incarnate reminded everyone why he's the most dangerous human being to ever step foot in a WWE ring, and Jacob Fatu learned that lesson the hard way. This wasn't just a beatdown, folks. This was a masterclass in destruction. This was Brock Lesnar proving that despite everything, despite all the new talent, he's still the alpha predator. Let's break down every brutal second of what happened. Before we dive into the chaos, let's talk about the expectations because context makes this moment even more shocking. Jacob Fatu's return had been teased for weeks. The vignettes, the social media hints, the cryptic messages, WWE had been building anticipation to a fever pitch. The WWE Universe was ready. We were all ready to see the Samoan werewolf unleashed on the SmackDown roster. And rightfully so. Jacob Fatu is one of the most complete packages in professional wrestling today. We're talking about a third-generation superstar from the legendary OMG family, carrying that incredible legacy on his shoulders. The man has the size, the agility, the intensity, and that undeniable IT factor that separates good wrestlers from genuine superstars. Social media was buzzing all week. Predictions were flying. Who would Fatu target first? Who would step up to challenge him? Some thought it would be the undisputed champion. Others speculated about dream matches with other top stars. The fantasy booking was running wild. WWE had positioned this perfectly. Fatu's return was announced for this specific SmackDown episode, giving fans time to tune in and make sure they didn't miss the moment. The company clearly saw big things in Fatu's future. The arena was packed. The energy was electric. When SmackDown went live, you could feel the anticipation hanging in the air like electricity before a storm. Everything was set for Jacob Fatu to have the moment that would define his WWE trajectory. But in professional wrestling, sometimes the story you expect isn't the story you get. So the moment finally arrived. The time had come for Jacob Fatu to make his grand entrance. The music hit, and the reaction was incredible. The WWE Universe exploded with excitement. This was what they'd been waiting for, and the pop Fatu received was absolutely massive. You could feel the energy shift in the entire arena. Jacob Fatu emerged, and he looked every bit the star WWE had been promoting. The confidence, the swagger, the intensity, it was all there. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't uncertain. This was a man who knew exactly who he was and exactly what he was capable of. The Samoan werewolf made his way to the ring, soaking in the moment but also maintaining that edge, the dangerous aura that makes him so compelling. He stepped through the ropes and stood in the center of the ring, surveying his new kingdom. Fatu grabbed a microphone. The crowd quieted down, eager to hear what he had to say. This was the moment, his first words on WWE television, his chance to lay out his intentions and let the entire roster know what was coming. He began to speak, addressing the WWE Universe, talking about legacy, about the OMG family name, about how he was here to dominate and conquer everyone in his path. The promo was strong, confident, exactly what you'd want from a returning star making their statement. The crowd was eating it up. Fatu was hitting all the right notes. You could see the momentum building, the connection forming with the audience. And then, everything changed in an instant. The music hit. That music. The music that makes everyone in the building stop whatever they're doing and pay attention. Brock Lesnar's entrance theme echoed through the arena, and the atmosphere completely transformed. The look on Jacob Fatu's face told the entire story. This was not part of the plan. This was not what he expected. The confidence flickered for just a second, replaced by the realization that he was about to face the most dangerous challenge of his career. Brock Lesnar appeared on the stage with Paul Heyman by his side, and the presence was overwhelming. Even after all these years, even after everything Lesnar has accomplished, he still has that aura of absolute destruction. The Beast Incarnate doesn't just walk, he stalks, he prowls, he moves like a predator who's just spotted prey. The crowd was losing their minds. Nobody expected this confrontation. Nobody saw Brock Lesnar interrupting Jacob Fatu's return. The fantasy booking computers in everyone's heads were working overtime trying to process what was happening. Paul Heyman had that knowing smile on his face as they made their way to the ring. Heyman grabbed a microphone, and you knew we were about to get a masterclass in verbal destruction before the physical destruction began. Heyman addressed Fatu directly, acknowledging his lineage, his talent, his potential, but then made it crystal clear that none of that mattered. Because Jacob Fatu just made the mistake of stepping into Brock Lesnar's ring, and the Beast Incarnate doesn't share his spotlight with anyone. The promo was vintage Heyman, eloquent, brutal, building tension with every word. He circled Fatu verbally, breaking down exactly why this return was about to become a nightmare rather than a celebration. Fatu stood his ground. To his credit, the Samoan werewolf didn't back down. He stepped right up to Lesnar, going face to face with the Beast. Two absolute physical specimens, two incredibly dangerous competitors, standing inches apart with the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. Words were exchanged. Fatu wasn't intimidated, or at least, he wasn't showing it. He fired back at Heyman and Lesnar, making it clear that he didn't come to WWE to be afraid of anyone, not even the legendary Brock Lesnar. The crowd was split, half chanting for Lesnar, half chanting for Fatu. This was the dream confrontation nobody knew they needed. And then Fatu made a choice that would define the rest of his night. He shoved Brock Lesnar. The entire arena gasped. Because everyone who's watched WWE for any amount of time knows what happens when you put your hands on Brock Lesnar. The Beast smiled. And not a friendly smile. The smile of a predator who just got permission to do what he does best. What happened next was absolutely brutal. Lesnar exploded with a violence that reminded everyone why he's been the final boss of WWE for over 2 decades. He grabbed Fatu and hit a belly-to-belly suplex that sent the Samoan werewolf flying across the ring like he weighed nothing. Fatu crashed hard, but tried to get back to his feet quickly. That Samoan toughness, that family pride, he wasn't going to just lie down. But Lesnar was already on him, relentless and merciless. Another belly-to-belly suplex, this time throwing Fatu in a different direction. The ring was shaking with each impact. The sound of Fatu's body hitting the canvas was sickening. This was the Beast Incarnate in full destruction mode, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. Fatu tried to fight back, landing some strikes that would have floored most competitors. Those heavy Samoan hands connected with Lesnar's jaw, and for a moment, it looked like maybe, just maybe, Fatu could turn this around. But Lesnar absorbed the punishment like it was nothing. He smiled a terrifying smile again, grabbed Fatu, and hit another suplex. German suplex. Fatu was spiked on the back of his head and neck, the impact echoing through the arena. But Lesnar didn't release the grip. He rolled through, pulling Fatu back up. Another German suplex. The crowd was counting along now, and you could see the inevitability of what was coming. Suplex number 3. Number 4. The Suplex City tour was in full effect, and Jacob Fatu was the unfortunate passenger. By the time Lesnar released him, Fatu was completely disoriented, his body broken, his return moment completely hijacked by the Beast Incarnate. But Lesnar wasn't done. Not even close. He pulled Fatu up, positioned him perfectly, and lifted him onto his shoulders. The entire arena knew what was coming next. F5. Lesnar spun and drove Fatu into the canvas with devastating force. The impact was catastrophic. Fatu was completely laid out, motionless in the center of the ring. Lesnar stood over him, arms raised in victory, while Paul Heyman shouted into the microphone about how this is what happens to anyone who dares challenge the Beast Incarnate. Medical personnel rushed to the ring to check on Fatu as Lesnar's music played. The message had been sent. The statement had been made. Jacob Fatu's return had been completely and utterly destroyed by Brock Lesnar. Okay, Suplex Rumble family, let's break down what this means for WWE moving forward, because this wasn't just a random beatdown. This is storytelling at its finest. First, let's talk about Brock Lesnar's positioning. By having the Beast destroy someone as credible as Jacob Fatu on his return, WWE is re-establishing Lesnar as the apex predator of the company. Despite all the new talent, despite the evolution of the roster, Brock Lesnar remains at the absolute top of the food chain. For Jacob Fatu, this is actually brilliant booking when you think about it long term. Yes, his return was ruined. Yes, he got destroyed. But now he has the story. He has the perfect revenge narrative. Fatu's journey from this point forward is about redemption, about proving he belongs, about eventually overcoming the Beast Incarnate. Think about it, some of the greatest WWE careers have been defined by how competitors responded to devastating losses. This gives Fatu character development, motivation, and a clear trajectory. The comeback story writes itself. From a broader roster perspective, this sends shockwaves through SmackDown. If Brock Lesnar can do this to Jacob Fatu, a fresh, dangerous competitor from a legendary family, then what can he do to everyone else? Every champion, every contender just got put on notice. The Anoa'i family angle adds another fascinating layer. You have to imagine that Roman Reigns, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, the entire bloodline past and present, are watching this. Does family loyalty compel them to get involved? Does this create new alliances or expose old divisions? And what about Paul Heyman's role? Having Heyman orchestrate this destruction while potentially having connections to the bloodline creates incredible storytelling possibilities. This could be the beginning of a months-long saga that involves multiple storylines converging. Championship implications, family drama, revenge narratives. WWE just opened Pandora's box in the best way possible. What an absolutely insane moment on SmackDown. Jacob Fatu's return will be remembered, but probably not for the reasons anyone expected. Suplex Rumble family, I need to hear your thoughts on this. Was this the right move for WWE to make? Can Jacob Fatu recover from this brutal beatdown? When Fatu eventually gets his revenge on Lesnar, how should it happen? Should the bloodline get involved in this storyline? Drop all your thoughts, predictions, and reactions in the comments below. Let's get a discussion going because this is the kind of storytelling that makes wrestling amazing.